entertain Jacksons at your house. And you told that story the other day, and it was a fabulous one.
Well, I felt from the very beginning that he was a benefactor to us. And the fact that he had such a loving, friendly personality really impressed me and brought out the best in me. And so we bonded. And he would come when we were expected to be at the court for something. We had no car. We were struggling. And he would come in his roadster and pick us up, which I thought was sensational. And the neighbors thought it was just unheard of. They, first of all, our neighbors doubted that that was Jackson. And I said yes, and that Jim was doing his clerkship. And so that's the way he conducted himself for us. So when you have that type of relationship with a person, you want to reciprocate. And the custom was that we should have them for dinner. And so I had Justice Jackson. I never called him the boss, which we did privately. To me, he was Mr. Justice. No matter how he called me Antoinette, we always called him, and I trained my children to say Mr. Justice. So we had them, and his wife, Irene, was a lovely person. Mm-hmm. I need to tell him about the first dinner, Jim?
Is that the birthday dinner?
Yes.
Sure.
No, about the first time we had them in our home.
Sure.
She was noted to be a Southern cook, good cook. And I wasn't a bad cook, but I didn't think I was a good cook. So I was going to make strawberry shortcakes. And I was going to make them from scratch. No biscuit, no nothing like that, which I was accustomed to doing. So I did, and they flopped. And she was there, encouraging me, saying it happened to her all the time, which I knew it hadn't. And so we went on with our dinner, and it was just a joyful, wonderful time. They came to our home in Falls Church twice. So how can you describe a man like that in professional terms? You just can't. You're talking to a personality which is really outstanding. And then if you're smart, you're thinking about the professional attributes that this man has and how he's come up to this high degree of service with the same lack that your dear darling husband has. And I felt that Jim had always felt that maybe his lack of undergraduate work would be a handicap to him. And I felt that this was the beginning of his career, and it was. It opened doors for him, and our dear Justice made him a big deal, and it made us feel like he was a big deal. So on those terms, you could only judge a man like that by a personal relationship. And I think that was why yesterday was so poignant for us, mm-hmm. because he felt that his time was short, but he was dogged in his pursuit of doing his job, and I liked that about him. He was very, very special.
Actually wrote a couple letters to your daughters.
Oh, he was very involved. That sounds a little bit like bragging, but as Jim always says, if it's true, it isn't bragging. Mm-hmm. So yes, he came to our home in Falls Church. He came to our home in Germantown. I think at that point he was coming up for your fraternity meeting, PAD, and then he came for the Pennsylvania bar, and he took us out to dinner, and he was going to show this little country girl how to eat a lobster. Well, by that time I knew that I was very allergic to shellfish, but I ate some of the lobster.
That's devotion.
I just couldn't say no to him, and he was so pleased that he was doing something different. We were born inland, and where we come from, you don't get these delicacies. So he ordered this big lobster, and I prayed all through dinner and picked at it, and I did a creditable job. I didn't feel so hot afterwards, but it was worth it. So that was, yes, he was very much involved with our two girls. And when he was in the hospital, I think we urged them that he, they loved him too. And the boss is ill. It would be nice if you sent him a nice little note. And he responded immediately. Those letters are precious.
I've seen copies of them, yeah.
Yeah,
They're really
those
good.
letters are precious. So from my point of view, he really was our hero. And he turned out to be a hero that you could love, that you could admire, and that you could wish would live forever.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. Tell me quickly about Irene. Describe her.
She was a gracious Southern lady, and I used to think I wanted to ask,
She was the Southern
but she
lady.
wasn't really Southern lady. I thought she was a Southern lady, and Julia last night was telling me that she had all the Southern attributes. She was hospitable, she was compassionate, as he was, empathetic, and just the fact that these two people would come to the law clerk's house for dinner, just as I grew older, a little bit more sophisticated, just baffles my mind. But there was a big occasion, and she came, and she's tall, I think of medium height, but pretty. She was pretty, and I was just captivated by her. Mm-hmm. Mostly not by her looks, but her demeanor and the way she really related to the justice. And I thought they had a very, very nice relationship. I was also fascinated with the idea that she's without doing her thing, because she was very close to Jacqueline Cochran, mm-hmm. the aviatrix. And at the time of this birthday party that we had at Elsie's apartment, she couldn't get home in time. And so she wasn't there, and she phoned, and she was most gracious.